analysis, and also you have analysis, hypothesis. You have hypothesis, and also you need to know how to calculate the interval and so on. And also the type of error. Okay, type of error. You have question asking about the type of error, which is in chapter 3. You are introduced to error type 1 and error type 2. And okay, in chapter 3, you have the point estimation, confidence interval of single mean, between two means, type of error, hypothesis single mean, and hypothesis two means. Before the test, I already explained swiftly on the basic fundamental of this chapter 3 and chapter 4. But when I look at the answers from all of you, I think it might be better for me to explain again with some example of questions so that you can understand more about chapter 3. So today I already uploaded the some of the questions that we are going to see today. We are going to look on the questions which is originally is a slide. I already converted into a PDF, and the slide title is Latihan Chapter 3 and 4, 14 June. Okay, 14 June because 14 June is the date where I prepared the slides for today. Okay, let's see. First of all, let's see the slide. You can maybe you can look and download from the Google Classroom, and I will also share my screen view to all of you. Okay, this is the slides that I already prepared to explain to you once again about chapter 3, chapter 3, and hopefully this week I also going to explain once again chapter 4. Okay, in your test from chapter 3, there is a question. Where is it? Not in the slide. Yeah, this one, this one. Boleh nampak? Sama lah dengan test. Sama kan? Sama kan? Okay. Sekarang apa yang saya nampak, what I can see is that most of you cannot construct the hypothesis, and also cannot differentiate between the two tail and one tail. Okay. So from this question, if you read, to test the effect of fertilizer on rice production, 24 equal plots of certain lengths are selected. 24 plot of a certain length are selected. Maknanya dia ada 24 You got 24 sample. Half of them were treated with fertilizer and another half of them were not treated. Other condition were the same, and maknanya condition lain adalah sama, and they have the same conditions, but the difference is only whether it treated with fertilizer or not. So the mean production of rice on untreated plots was 4.8 quintals with a standard deviation of 0.4. Okay. Dia kata situ standard deviation adalah 0.4 See here, the standard deviation is 0.4 here. Okay, and then while the mean yield of the treated plot was 5.1, and then it's explain again about the detail. Can we say that there is significant improvement in production rice? Production rice. Sekarang ni, now we have the mean of production. We have the mean of production. So this one should be the mean. Standard deviation, we have also the sample. This is the n number, and we have the standard deviation. So this standard deviation, is it referred to sample or population? But anybody can answer. Is it for sample or population?
Sample.
Sample. Why do you say it's sample?
Because it say 24 equal plots of a certain land.
24 equal plots of certain land. Okay, this is one of the clue whether we can say sample or population. But the most important thing that you have to understand is, in this question, all of the question, it never say about population. That is the biggest clue. It never say about population. When in the question, it never mention the word populations. That means in the table is for the sample. Okay, for the sample. So that means here this number is unknown. Okay, the population standard deviation, this is for the population, but the S for the sample, known. And we can see here that S1, S2 is S1, S2 is not equal. N1 equal to N2, and then we have mu1 and mu2. So the mean, we have the value of mean here. The mean production of rice of untreated plot was 4.8. Okay, this one is for the untreated. Untreated is mu1 equal 4.8, mu2 is equal to 5.1. The keyword here for the question is, can we say that there is significant improvement? Okay, they are asking about significant improvement. So before we go to solve this question, you have to construct the null hypothesis and also the alternate hypothesis. You have H0, you have H1, then double dot. Okay, so now this is the problem of single which one? Is it a single mean or two means? Anybody can answer?
To me.
Huh?
To me.
Single or huh? We have a choice here whether it is a single mean or sorry, I have problem with the screen. Okay, is it a single mean or is it a two mean?
Two mean.
Two mean, eh?
Yes.
Okay. So we have two mean here because we have mean number 1 and mean number 2. We have to compare the mean. Okay, we have to compare. Our job is compare mean 1 and mean 2. So the question is, at the last sentence here, the last sentence, you have to identify or determine the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. So we have mu1, mu2, mu1, mu2. Okay, for null hypothesis, anybody can answer? Null hypothesis, what mark do we have here?
Equal.
Symbol.
Equal.
Equal. So this one,
Not equal.
so one you answer non-equal. Anybody have other answer? Ada tak jawapan lain? Ada tak? Ada?
No.
Less than.
Muhammad Afham. Tadi yang jawab siapa?
Jawab apa tu
Sebelum ni
tadi?
yang jawab. Ha?
Jawab apa tu?
Yang jawab tadi equal, not equal.
Not
Siapa
equal.
yang jawab?
Saya.
Not equal Alif Ikram
Saya.
Ain Syakila ada? Tak ada? Tak ada Ain Syakila tak ada. Jalaluddin ada?
Ada tak?
Oh tak ada. Ini simbol apa pada kamu? Sama ke? Not equal ke?
Unequal.
Not equal. Okay Daripada sini, from this question here, I can understand that you are not able to construct the correct hypothesis. So the keyword here, you can say, you can look directly on this one. When you say it improve, does it increase or decrease or equal? Siapa boleh jawab?
Increase,
Improve.
Doctor.
Increase.
Increase kan?
Increase.
Increase. Maknanya non-treated is mu1. Ni tak treated. mu2 is treated by the fertilizer. Kan? The question is significant improvement. When improved, that means there is a possibility that the treated is better than untreated kan? Betul tak? It should be better than the treated one. When we say it better, sekarang tengok angka mu 1 is 0.4. Sorry. Mu min. Kita tengok min 4.8 dengan 5.1. Okay. The untreated is 4.8. The treated is 5.1. This is the mean. Okay. From mean, maknanya angka keseluruhan dan purata the mean of the production, we can see that the treated one is larger than untreated tak? Betul tak?
Betul.
Kan? So from mu, we can understand that the treated one is better than untreated. That means we have improvement. Betul tak? Betul tak nampak?
Betul.
Jadi sekarang ni, tapi kat sini kamu nampak standard deviation dia berbeza angka. Standard deviation berbeza angka. Jadi kenyataan ni kalau tengok daripada mu saja belum confirm lagi. Improvement ke tak ni? Belum confirm. Not confirm. Okay? Sebab kita cuma melihat pada mean saja. We only look on the mean. We cannot say anything. Because we have different value of standard deviations. So, untuk ini, for this question, the mark here it should be apa? Ada boleh jawab? Dalam ni apa? Jessica ada Jessica. Jessica in. Is Jessica with us? Ada Jessica? Tak ada. Syaril ada? Syaril?
Ada doktor.
Masuk sekarang ini apa simbol sini? What is the symbol?
Rasanya lebih kecil.
mu1 need to be smaller than mu2. Betul
Ya doktor.
So this is the correct hypothesis. Bila you ada benda ni barulah you boleh dapat correct punya apa table value. Betul tak? Sekarang ni lagi satu adalah the n is equal and it is smaller than the t. Betul kan? Tak ada orang jawab.
Betul, betul.
Betul kan? Then it is smaller than the t. Bila smaller than the t, unknown. Standard deviation population unknown. Smaller than the t. Confirm clue yang ini confirm dia pergi kepada t distribution. Okay. Dia dah jadi t distribution. Betul Daripada sini kamu tengok balik barulah kamu boleh dapatkan formula yang betul untuk mengira dan tabel yang betul untuk mengira. Jadi dari sekat sini, sekarang kita nampak dia adalah, sebelum ini ramai yang mengatakan, I think almost 80%, bahawa benda ni adalah not equal. Bila kamu dapat benda ni smaller than, ini one tail test ke two tail test?
One tail test.
This is one tail test. Two mean. Two means. Jadi kalau kamu buka balik slide nombor 3, slide chapter 3, kamu akan dapat proper punya jalan penyelesaian dia lah. Ini yang kamu nak kena jaga ni. Okey. Okey, sementara terlanjur daripada situ, saya nampak saya buat decision bahawa kamu kena banyak buat jalan chapter 3. Okey. Untuk kelas hari ni ada soalan ni, beberapa soalan saya akan tanya, tengok macam mana, boleh faham ke tak? Okey. For the following problems, define whether the population standard deviation are known or unknown. Then choose the appropriate distribution in order to construct the confidence interval for the difference in means. Ini confidence interval bermaksud dia nak mean. Difference in means bermaksud ada mu1, mu2. Bila dia kata interval, then we have this mark lah. Betul Betul kan? Tak dijawab. Okay. The burning rate of two different solid fuel propellants used in air cruise escape system are being studied. Ada dua. It is known that both propellant have approximately the same standard deviation. Same standard deviation. Maknanya boleh jadi ni, boleh juga jadi ni. That is 4 cm per second. 4 saya. Mana ni saya sampai 4 lah ni. Boleh jadi ni. Two random sample of 25 specimen are tested. Two random specimen are tested. Jadi N is equal 25. N1 and both of it 25. Kita ada both of it is less than 30. So this one is critical. When it's less than 30, it's less than 30, there is a possibility of having the T distribution, also the Z distribution. Okay. Boleh tolong siapa-siapa beritahu ini T ke Z distribution? Dah pernah nampak ada orang ni? Pada masa lepas. Ada orang tak? Okey, bonjour. Ada orang tak? Boleh ni? Ini kalau yang ini tak boleh jawab. Nilai ni. Analisis Analisis. kita ada kebalan kalian untuk Z, kita ada kebalan kalian untuk T. Ada orang jawab? Siapa lagi ada ni? Fazil ada, Fazil. Muhammad Fazil. Fazil ada? Tak ada? Tu saya punya ni terputus.
Tadi saya hilang doktor. Hilang.
Hilang
Dia macam statik gitu tadi.
Oh, statik. Okey, sampai mana tadi saya terangkan? Okey, sekarang ni saya tengah balik. Dengar Dengar
Sekarang dengar doktor.
Dengar tak?
Dengar.
Okey. Dia ada two different solid fuel. It's known that both propellant have approximately the same standard deviation. Maknanya standard deviation adalah boleh jadi ni sigma 1 equal sigma 2, boleh juga jadi S1 equal to S2, which is the value is 4. Two random sample, 25 specimen were tested. So we have 25. N1, N2 is 25. Now, from this, we can understand that the sample is less than 30 for each of it. Bila jadi macam ni, there are possibility of T distribution and Z distribution. We have to define whether this question here is T distribution or Z distribution. So, soalan ni dah pernah buat belum? Dah pernah dibincangkan?
Belum doktor, first time tengok.
First time? You chapter 3 itu tak ada buat exercise ke?
Ada buat tapi bukan yang rasanya bukan yang ni kot hijab.
Refer kepada apa? Buku? Ada buku
Dalam slide lah doktor.
Dalam slide ni Okey, tak apa. Okey, sekarang ni boleh jawab tak? Ini T distribution ke Z distribution?
T doktor.
T doktor.
T?
T.
T Kenapa you kata dia T?
Sebab dia kurang daripada 30. N kurang daripada 30.
Kurang 30, N kurang daripada 30. Kurang daripada 30. Lagi syarat-syarat yang menentukan dia, ada lagi clue lain mengatakan dia T.
Sigma unknown.
Variance unknown.
Macam mana you kata dia unknown? Ada nak? Cuba tengok
Tak jelas.
dengar tak?
Okey, sekarang dengar.
Cuba tengok daripada perkataan tu, let's see from the sentences, find the words, the keywords that you can say that it is a sample standard deviation. Okay, the value given, which is 4, is the value for sample standard deviation. Which clause saying that? Dengar soalan saya. Dengar tak? Ke putus-putus ni sebab saya hujan ni. Macam nak hujan.
Dengar doktor. Kalau
Siapa tadi jawab Afam Afam
ya saya.
Agak-agak apa? What do which words or which sentence saying that it is a sample standard deviation?
Selalunya kalau population dia akan mention kan. Yang
Yalah.
ni dia tak mention, so assume.
So unfortunately yang ini before it asking or mentioning about the sample, it already mentioned about the standard deviation first. Okay. Tengok soalan tu, it says that the two different solid full problems. Okay. It never say two different sample of solid fuel problems. Dia tak ada sebut sampel was studied. It is known that ni masuk dia kalau dalam bahasa Inggeris sudah diketahui umum. Everybody know. It's like a common knowledge. Everybody know it, and it's a general statement. It is known that and bila kita guna ni, when we use perkataan it is known that, it doesn't refer to the test conducted after that. It refer to the basic original data or original results before we have the study. Maksudnya sekarang ni, ini menyatakan bahawa this clause here, it is the clue saying that the data here, the 4 standard deviation is referred to population. It refers to population. It doesn't refer to sample. Ada nak tanya, faham tak? Kenapa saya kata dia jadi macam tu?
Faham tak? Faham.
Faham tak? Tak faham
Faham dah.
Faham? Dia akan menjadi Z. Sebab kalau kita translate kembali, ini stating that it is the value. You don't have to calculate, you don't have to test, it is the value. Then baru dia nak masuk kepada the actual problem here. The problem came at last of the sentence. 2 random samples, 25 specimens were tested for the prevalence. And then blah blah blah, boleh tambah lagi lah persoalannya. This is the starting of the question. The calculation should be this calculation should be done by referring to the population standard deviation obtained from the previous study, or maybe from the general assumption and so on. Okay. Jadi kat situ kena faham, nak determine whether it's T or Z. Okay. Jelas? Kita dengar.
Dengar doktor, dengar.
Okay, ada lagi satu soalan di sini. Alamak. Okay, nampak soalannya? Tulisannya ada blur sikit.
Nampak doktor?
Okay. The behavior of a stochastic generator in the presence of external noise being studied lah. Soalan ni dia punya the sentence is not complete. It want to say that the behavior of a stochastic generator is being studied. Okay? The number of periods was measured in a sample of 100 trains for each 2 different level. From this one, 2 different level. That means you have to two means, and then it say the sample is 100 for each. That means N1 is 100, N2 is also 100. Dengar?
Dengar.
So from here you can say that N1 is equal to N2. Okay? 100 millivolts and 200 millivolts. This is the new measured and sample of two-level noise of voltage 100 and 200. Okay, for N1 for the sample, for one is we have a 100, we have 2 is 200. For 100 millivolt, the mean number of period was 7.9. Jadi kalau kita nak buat table, we can have N100 equal to 100 and N2 is also 100. If this is for N200, it is also 100. So we can have something like this. Okay. This is, if you want to draw a table, we can draw it like this. Okay. Sekarang ni, the mean number of periods in train was 7.9 with variance of 4.7. Jadi mean 100 is equal 7.9. Variance dia boleh jadi S, boleh jadi 5 is 4.7, while the other one is 6.5, 5.1. So N lebih besar daripada 100, lebih besar daripada 30. Sekarang ni N larger than 30. Sekarang S or, jadi sekarang ni dia punya population standard deviation ni known ataupun known or unknown.
Unknown.
Dia adalah apa distribution? T dengan berat ke T ni? Kenapa? Ada tak? Tak ada. Okey. Start balik nanti. Apa condition kita akan refer kepada Z? Nyatakan what is the condition that we have to refer to Z distribution, and what are the reasons that we have to refer it as the T distribution. So the basics, the easiest way to determine whether it's Z or T, first is look at the n number. When the n is larger than 30, no matter we know the population or the sample standard deviation or not, we are going to use the Z. We are going to use the Z. Maknanya, kalau angka dia sampel lebih daripada 30, dah tak payah nak tanya-tanya lagi dah. Kita akan pergi kepada Z. Masalahnya bila kita kurang daripada 30. 30 sampel, we have to know, we have to understand whether in the question is stating about sample standard deviation or population standard deviation. Jadi kita kena tahu adakah dia population ataupun sampel, ya, sample standard deviation. Jadi untuk soalan yang ini, kalau lihat daripada segi teori, dah tak payah nak tanya lagi dah. Lebih daripada 30, it directly refer to Z. Ini unknown ke, known ke, tak ada kena-mengena dah. Pasal dia dah overpowered by syarat ni. Okay, daripada 30. Faham dengar Dengar. Tu dah hilang.
Tahu doktor, dengar.
Dengar doktor, dengar.
Ingat je.
Saya nak hujan rumah saya ni. Saya tak dengar. Okey. Itu adalah intro penerangan. Benda paling basic sekali dalam chapter 3. Jadi make sure you tak salah benda ni. Jadi dalam sini kamu ada, sini ada lagi satu soalan. For the following problem, define whether population standard deviation are known or unknown. Population standard deviation are known or unknown. Then choose the appropriate deviation in order to construct the confidence interval for different in between domains. Benda dia sama soalan ni macam ini. Tapi sekarang ni dia bagi data lah, ada data ni. Question D. The overall distance traveled by both balls is tested by hitting the ball with iron Byron and mechanical golfer with a swing that is said estimate the legendary champion Byron Nelson. 10 randomly selected ball of two different brands are tested. Maknanya ada dua ball ni ball brand 1 dengan brand 2. Kita ada ni. Dan A dengan B. Kita kat sini A dengan B lah. Boleh jadi A, boleh jadi B, tak kisah mana-mana. So 10 random selected ball of two different brands are tested and the overall distance measured. These are the data of the distance for the 10 random distance. Inilah dia. This one. Obtained as table 2. So from this question here, the n is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The n A is equal 10 and B is equal 10. Okay. Now, do we know the S or sigma? Tahu tak ni? Boleh tahu tak? Data dia bagi tu.
Tak.
Ha?
S boleh tahu. Tapi kalau yang sigma tu tak boleh.
Data dah ada tu. Boleh kira tak?
S boleh kira. X bar S boleh kira doktor. Tapi yang sigma tu tak boleh sebab dia sampel punya ni.
Okey, sigma tak boleh kira Yang ini kalau kita kira pun kita cuma dapat S. Even though we calculate it, we can have the standard deviation. But then the standard deviation is referred to as the standard deviation for this question here, it referred to as. We will never have the sigma. So, n is less than 30 and we only have the s. We don't know the sigma. So this one, we are going to see or to solve the problem using the
T-test.
T.
Huh?
Yes.
T distribution. Jangan cari Z. Okay. That is example 1. This is for 3. No, this is not. Okay. This is another one is a researcher wants to find out the intention of young student to enroll in IT course in future. He randomly select 4th, 5th, and 6th graders and recorded how many IT course they intend to take. From 4th, 5th, 6th grades. Ada grade 4, 5, 6. I don't know what does it refer to the grade. What does it mean by the grades? I don't know. Never mind. We just can't forget it. How many IT course they intended to take? Okay, and then it given n is 190, female is 20, mean is 2.82, 2.83, and 2, and the other one is it said here is standard deviation. It can be S, it can be sigma. Is it simple or is it standard deviation?
Simple.
Huh? Simple. How can you say it is simple? What is the clue here? You can see from the words here. Where is the clue? Apa yang
Randomly
mengatakan
selected.
what? Only selected. Mana tadi only selected? Only selected mana?
Ada
Ada ke?
yang kedua doktor. Randomly selected 4th, 5th and 6th grades.
He randomly for page example orders. Yeah, it said randomly selected. Jadi ini satu clue lah. So, dia ada kata ini simple ke tak simple ke ada tak? Unfortunately, this question here is, this one is, we have to regard it as the population. It's not. It is a population. It never mentioned about sample. It never mentioned about population. But the data is given. Okay, it is given like this. So this one kita kena ambil dia sebagai populasi. The value here is a sigma. Ni ada trik sikit. Kalau you selalu nampak soalan ni akan faham. It never mention, it doesn't show any sample value. It just show a table stating about the number of sample to be studied, the mean and standard deviation. Okay? It never mention about whether it is a value for the sample or for the population. In this case, you have to take it as population. Okay? You have to take it as population. So, seterusnya adalah soalan seperti yang dalam buku, dalam soalan kertas exam. The next question is just like in the exam paper. But then, once again, we come back to the question from test 2. We come back to the question from test 2. We already know that it is T distribution. And we already know that it is a two-tailed test. So how we are going to look at the table and how we are going to do the calculation. Padam pula dah. Just okay. This one, you already know that is a T distribution. T distribution, and we have to refer to table to get the T table. Then we have to refer to T table, whereby the hypothesis is H0 mu1 equal to mu2. H1 mu1 is smaller than mu2. Now we have to calculate the, can we say there is an improvement, improvement. We have to do the hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis cost for 2 means. Tak sama, standard deviation is not equal. N1 is equal to N2. What is the equation that we use? Look back on the this one, slide. I forgot which slide is it, but we have one type error, two type error, case 1, case 2, and case 3. In this case, we have 2 mean there. You can look at your two mean, two means. This is a problem for two mean. You have case 1 and case 2. Okay. Now, this is the formula for calculating the interval. Okay. Soalan dia suruh kira interval. The question is asking you to calculate the whether it is larger or smaller. It is hypothesis. Dia tahu apa hypothesis? Soalan, the question is assume that can we say that there is significant improvement in production? So we have to do the hypothesis. In this question, most of you are using the incorrect formula. Ramai. Bukan kata ramai. Boleh kata semua. Boleh kata semua. All of you were using.
Tak dengar betul.
Soalan ni. Dengar. Dengar tak?
Dengar.
You have to calculate, you have to do the hypothesis, determining whether it have a significant improvement or not. Okay. Then from this blue color punya ni, you already know that it is a T distribution. But then what is the equation? Equation mana nak pakai? Case 1, 2, 3. Yang mana satu? Most of you are using the incorrect. Hypothesis, kalau in this chapter we have hypothesis. Saya rasa I already make a summary of hypothesis, case 1, case 2, case 3. This is chapter, okay, chapter 3, 5.1. We started from the hypothesis. For the hypothesis, we have two mean, we have single mean. Okay. We have one tail test. We also have two tail tests of hypothesis. Okay, but this is for the single mean. And then you have the two means. It's single mean, and then you have for the two means. Because you have two different mean value there, you have to refer to the hypothesis test for difference between two means. Then there is a table here whereby you have to decide which formula you must use. Okay. Sekarang ni, from this table here, you look back pada soalan. Okay. N is less than 30 and the N is equal. N less than 30, less than 30. The possibility is whether it's case B or D and E. Okay, D and E. Huh? Case E. E. Boleh kata E And we have the same equal number of N. Sama kan? Equal number of N kan? We have the same equal number of N. That means because we don't know the population standard deviation, that means case B is rejected. We cannot use case B. And then the N of N1 and N2 is equal. Okay, it's equal. When it is equal, it is easier for you to use the case E. Okay, case E. And the problem should be solved by this formula here. The mistake that have you done is most of you using case D. I don't know why you use case D. You are you calculating the value of SP and then you have calculated using this formula. When you use the case E, it just direct. You have to just add in. The problem one is problem appear when you calculate this value wrongly, and the value you obtain from here is wrong. Okay. So from this formula here, this formula, that means when we want to write it down, the formula, we have the, sorry, I don't have a blank paper here. Maybe I have to erase some of it. Tak boleh padam pula dah. How I can erase it? Okay. Okay. Then the t-test is equal to x1 minus x2 mu1 minus mu2 divided by 1n s1 s2. So this s1 s2 is the number, okay, 0.4, 0.35, okay, n is 12. The x1 and x2, what is x1, what is the x2, what is 2? Cuba tengok kat situ, kita akan dapat nilai dia. Macam mana? This one over here, we will have it 0 minus 0.4 minus 0.35. Okay, you will have minus 0.05 for this value up here. Itulah calculation yang kita boleh dapat. Anda mendapat seperti itu. Sepatutnya mendapat seperti itu. The problem is you are not calculating using the correct punya equation. So finally you have the wrong answer. So untuk jawapan ini, okay, for this question, the calculation of t test is equal minus 1.764. This is the final answer. Okay. Eh, 0.48 ni 0.48, sorry. This one is 0.48 minus 5. 3.5. 0.35 minus 0. Okay. We have this one. And this one is, we assume it as 0. Okay. And then the t, for this problem, t table, we have, sometimes we have alpha, sometimes we have alpha divided by 2. Okay. Because this is one tail test, we have to refer to alpha. We have the same number of n, we can use this formula. So we have to refer to t 0.05 22. T 0.05 22. The biggest mistake, another big mistake in this problem is when you refer to alpha divided by 2, you are referring to different value of t table. Maknanya kita akan dapat t alpha bagi 2, 22 sama dengan t 0.025. Ni salah. Jadi this problem, untuk soalan ini, for this problem here, calculation, it contribute to a big marks, 14 marks from 20, just for this question. So most of you cannot answer it, and yang paling pelik sekali adalah jawapan semua orang sama. Kalau jawapan semua sama, kesalahan yang sama ni ada pelik sikit. Kalau jawapan betul sama, okay. If you have correct answer, and the answer is similar between each of you, I consider it as normal. But when the answer is wrong, you have same mistake. There is two possibilities. The possibility number one is you have the same wrong understanding about this chapter, or the other one is the worst condition is where you are hoping the other people answer. But I'm not assume that you are copying other people answer. So I assume that you have a wrong understanding about the formula, how to use the formula, and how to select the formula. So please look back on this matter. And in the Google Classroom today, I already uploaded some questions. Okay, some questions for you to do your own revision. Okay, in this we have a question from the Google Classroom. You have a exercise chapter 3, when did I post this? I think this is the one I post today. Chapter 3. You can see and download it. There are a lot of questions there, and also you have the answer for it. So please discuss among you. Make sure that you have the same answer with the answer at the back or the end of the questions. You have some question for the confidence interval for single mean, and also confidence interval between two means, and also you have the hypothesis testing, and in this hypothesis testing you have also the answer here, comparing between, no, it's not comparing between, it just how are you going to state the hypothesis, null and alternative hypothesis. So first, don't look at the answer, read first the questions in this chapter, in this question, and then try to build the hypothesis, and then you can refer back to the on the answer at the back of this question. So for example, in this slides, I show you a little bit what do we have in this exercise. Nampak nampak ni nampak?
Nampak.
Okay, yang paling kritikal kamu ni sekarang adalah you cannot understand or construct the hypothesis. So for example, this one. Okay, a researcher think that if pregnant woman use vitamin pill, the mean birth weight of the baby will increase. Bila will increase? When it said about increase, then your hypothesis must be larger than for the alternate hypothesis. Tanya sekarang ni, when it's 3.2, then 3.2 lah. So mean, then we have mean here. Then the hypothesis F0 is mu 32, 3.2. Is that simple? So contoh lagi satu adalah kalau kita tengok another example here is we look at the, for example this one 11. A recent drug survey showed an increase in use of drug and alcohol among the local students as compared to the national percent. Suppose that survey of 100 and 1 sama dengan 100 and 2 sama dengan 100. Consider to see if the percentage of the drug and alcohol use higher locally than nationally. Local is referred to N1 or N2. Kena tengok kat sini. And we have to look at it. Survey of 100 local yards and yards. Okay. Local and national. If we consider that this is local and this is national, then we have mu1, we have mu2. Jadi kalau kat sini dia adalah more than lah jadinya, pasal dia adalah higher local than national dia akan jadi macam tu, H1, whereby the H0 mu1 equal mu2. This symbol here, if it say as not equal or there is a difference, mana ada perbezaan, there is a difference, there is differences between apa benda, if it state about difference, then you have to put it as this mark. If it's larger or smaller or improve, then you have to decide whether it's one, the small, larger or smaller. And then, katakanlah, contoh another example I just put another example. We talk about defect. Defect rate. If we want new one, defect rate is 5%. New 2, defect rate is 10% lah. Contoh dia. Then, soalan dia adalah define whether, ni maknanya kalau ni satu ni no countermeasure lah, no action. New 2 is taken after some action taken in production line. Maknanya kita ada buat improvement kita ada buat improvement. Ada buat improvement, tapi bila kita ukur kita dapat 10% lah defect. Defect. Define whether there is improvement in mean quality. Jadi kalau macam tu, katakanlah tadi mean quality ni kita refer sebagai Q1 and mean Q2. So alternative hypothesis mu Q1, we have a mu Q2. So what is the symbol here? Smaller ke larger? Ada yang jawab? Ke dah putus? Dah putus ke?
Ada doktor ada?
Jalan lagi ke? Ada lagi kan? Jadi
Ada,
sekarang ni simbol ni apa ni? We talk about the defect rate. We study on the defect rate. We have the data of the defect rate between two process, and then the question asking about the quality improvement. So, lambang ini apa? Adakah ni?
Less than doktor.
Adakah ni atau adakah ni? Adakah ni? Quality improvement.
Less than. Less than.
Less than. Quality improvement.
Less than doktor.
Okay. Oleh kerana ini adalah defect. Bila defect semakin rendah, quality bagus kan? Betul tak? Kalau defect tinggi, quality tak bagus lah. Maknanya, bila kita nak ada improvement, we want to have improvement at the second test. That means what? The defect rate must be smaller than the defect rate before the test. So the defect rate of the non-action taken one should be larger than the defect rate of after action taken. Faham? Ni tricky, soalan macam ni jadi tricky tau. They give you the defect rate, but then they ask you about the quality improvement. Kalau orang bagi pada you yield rate, a successful rate, maybe successful rate is mu1 is 95%, mu2 is 98%. We have process 1, we have process 2. Asking you about whether process 2 have improvement or not compared to process 1. Then you can easily state that is mu P1 is smaller than P2. Yeah, this is successful rate. But when the data given is defect rate, when you talking about improvement, the defect should be smaller kan. Sebab tu kita kena letakkan sebagai macam ni. Jadi benda ni kena clear. Kena faham. Jadi untuk itu, there are some questions which have tricky like this in this example. So please read it, understand it, so that you can understand and know how to construct the hypothesis. Okay. So I think today that's all. I mainly look back on chapter 3. Please do the exercise that I gave you. I uploaded in the Google Classroom. It's up to you. If you want to do the exercise, then I think you will have an easier time during your final exam. And the next class I will go discuss on chapter 4. Okay, today I focus on chapter 2. In the next class I will discuss chapter 4, which is more on the what do you call it, data plotting. The specific name for the subject for the course, the chapter is, I can't remember. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 it's about, yeah, decision making. And sorry, chapter 4 is making. Chapter 4 is for the descriptive statistic, how to plot the data. Jadi itu saja sekarang ini. So please make sure you don't forget to fill up the form answering about the attendance today. And please download the example of question, because the question there you have the answer. Please try to do it and make sure the answer, your answer is as the same as the answer in the document. Jadi itu saja untuk hari ini. Terima kasih banyak. Saya harap kamu mempunyai better understanding in chapter 3. Please don't do the same mistake in chapter 3. Kalau ada masalah dalam chapter 3 boleh tanya saya, as long as we have time here. You boleh tanya in the next class. If I cannot answer it in the next class, maybe I will answer it. I can give you answer through the Google Classroom and you can read my answer. Boleh? Ada soalan tak? Jadi untuk hari ini itu saja. Jadi hari ini you tak ada tugasan, tak ada apa.